You're strapped in to a live radio broadcast on Pure Rock Radio.
Get your piece of the internet with GoDaddy.com. Go to purerockradio.net/GoDaddy for coupon codes to save. Like 10% off all GoDaddy hosting plans. $5 off any GoDaddy purchase of $30 or more, or $7.49 domain names. That's purerockradio.net/GoDaddy for a complete list of coupon codes, or enter POD 167 to save 10% on all GoDaddy hosting packages today.
Welcome to the Used Bin. All music, all the time. What are you listening to? Used Bin Radio.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hey, welcome to the show. It's Tuesday night. We're live. It's Used Bin Radio.
Live in Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen.
How you doing? I'm Brad. That's Joe. This is Used Bin Radio.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, this is a...
Hey, thanks for calling.
You're going to be hearing a lot of that tonight. Yeah, this is an interactive radio program, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We're going to play lots of rock and roll for you. We're going to talk about lots of rock and roll. We're going to thank you for calling, but the only way we can thank you for calling is by calling.
And we need you to call at 310-840-4438.
Or send us an email at usedbinradio@usedbin.com. usedbinradio@usedbin.com.
Because we want to know what you've been listening to, and we want to know what's on your mind. And we're going to be talking about tunes, and we're going to be talking about record stores, and we're going to be talking about buying records and listening to records, and records that snap, crackle, and pop, and all that good stuff. And thanks for calling.
That's right. This is a great tune. This is the new Slash tune that I downloaded freely, because you can download it for free.
Slash, not Axl.
That's right. At the Classic Rock magazine website.
Great
so this
magazine.
is the tune with Dave Grohl, and it's a pretty good tune. I have to say, it's a nice little instrumental piece. So anyway, we have lots going on tonight, lots to talk about. There's been plenty of stuff going on this last week in the wonderful world of music, and we're going to try to hit as much of it as we can. So I think that we should, let's just get right to it. And
actually, before we do, I just wanted to thank some of the people who sent us some emails last week. A lot of nice emails about our podcasts. And, of course, you could always check out our podcasts if you miss a show at purerockradio.net. And just click on the little part that says podcast, strangely enough. And that'll work for you.
That'll work. That'll do it.
Also got a couple of nice emails from people congratulating me on running the LA Marathon. Thanks for that. That was a good time.
All right, let's just get right to it.
Let's
stop fucking around. Let's talk about the big fucking three-headed white Canadian elephant in the room.
That Ricky Martin came out?
That's not three heads. Although I guess maybe for you it could be. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But
what are we really talking about?
Well, let's just discuss the mere fact, not just the fact that our boys, that Rush got inducted into the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, which is fabulous enough. Thanks for calling. But I wanted to talk about the fact that in the last couple of weeks, due to the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame induction, that our boys have been doing tons of interviews. And in these interviews, they've been discussing future plans, meaning touring and recording.
Right.
So I wanted to read this quick quote from Alex about...
And speaking of the quotes, it's worth mentioning that the amazing thing about this period of Rush history is that it's not just Geddy and Alex doing all these interviews and all this media.
Right.
Neil has really stepped up to the plate.
Well, he seems to have been the guy the last few months. I'm telling you, he had a baby, and he's come out of his shell.
Yeah.
And I can't really blame him, to be honest with you. He'll do anything he can to get out of the house.
He changed some poopy diapers, and he's ready to get on the road right now.
But here's the quote from Alex, which I thought was fucking genius.
Okay.
He says, "We've got these half dozen songs, and we'll probably go in the studio and work on a couple of them and see how it goes. Perhaps release something." And I say perhaps. And then we plan on being on the road in the middle of June. Ideally, we'd like to showcase a couple of these songs on the tour, come off tour in mid-October, go back in the studio and continue writing, then record through late this year and early next year, then release the album in the spring of 2011 on a slightly more substantial tour. This year's tour will probably be about 45 dates, most likely summer. 2011 will be more like 70 dates. Dude, are you? So basically what he's saying is you're going to get 2 solid fucking years of Rush. How great is that? Yeah.
I'm in.
2 solid years of Rush. Now, there's another quote that he says that I think that Neil says, which is where he talks about the fact that they haven't written songs and then played them live without having an album out since the 80s. So they're very excited about changing some things up a little bit.
Grace Under Pressure tour, I believe.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
They were playing Subdivisions and Red Sector A, and even, I think, Kid Gloves before Grace Under Pressure was out.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't tell you how stoked I am.
Yeah.
Now, besides the fact that there's about 5,000 shows that we need to go to this year.
Yeah, it's a big summer.
But there's a Rush tour coming.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Dude, batten down the hatches.
Oh, I'm telling you.
There's a Rush tour coming.
I'm telling you.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that's big. That's very big.
Yes, and I don't know about. Did you see any clips from the Hall of Fame thing, the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame?
Not yet. I'm sure they'll start circulating.
I haven't watched any. I'm just more curious, more interested than anything to see Les Claypool play Rush. I could kind of care less about Alex on Fire, Alex is on Fire, some of those other guys. I'm much more interested in seeing Les Claypool do that stuff. You?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's all. I don't know. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And that's about it. I think we needed to get the Rush news out of the way. Yeah. I've been foaming at the mouth for this stuff. I'm fucking excited.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm pretty excited about it.
I can see that.
I'm ready to go. All right. So what have you been listening to?
I've been listening to a lot of weird stuff the last couple of days. First of all, it's worth mentioning that you and I and a couple pals went to the Grammy Museum on Tuesday night.
Yes.
And saw an evening with Shooter Jennings, which was great fun.
It was beyond good fun. That place is, not only is the place great, but the whole vibe is just so solid for the format that they use for this. Yeah. So solid.
Very, very similar to, what was it, James Lipton's?
James Lipton's. Inside the Actors Studio.
Right. Very similar format because he had Shooter sitting on the little chair next to him, along with the producer and co-writer, Dave Cobb. And so he did a little Q&A, and he spoke to Shooter about the record, which was really a stunning record. If you are into, I don't know, sort of an industrial Floyd kind of, it's hard to describe, but it's definitely worth checking out. We've talked about it before on the show, but it's sort of like the last hour of terrestrial radio before the government comes in this hypothetical situation.
But let me just say this.
It's really cool.
It's not a country record.
No.
So you hear the name Shooter Jennings and you think of Waylon Jennings and even the 3 previous Shooter Jennings records. Right. This is nothing like that. It's a very rock, like Joe said, industrial kind of mishmash of heavy duty guitars and big Floydian moments, and it's just not it's nothing country about this record.
Right, and
Shooter's a good rock singer.
It's clearly a conceptual album, and so it was great to see him as a fan of the concept genre, sort of get under the hood and talk about the nuts and bolts of experimentation in the studio and piecing the concept together and having to come up with like character names and backstories of things that are like the minutia.
Research.
I love that kind of detail that goes into a concept album. And it was also a bonus that he played a couple of songs on piano for us. It was a small, really intimate crowd. It was really good.
But what I thought was interesting about him is that besides the fact that I think he's a very good storyteller, I thought he explained himself really well, and I thought Dave Cobb explained himself really well. I mean, they really put the record together. It was really well spoken, and even the guy that moderated, I thought he asked the right questions. He definitely
Scott Goldman of the Grammy,
is that his name?
Grammy organization.
Really, I thought he did a very nice job. Should have been us, but it was a nice job.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's so self-deprecating. Shooter.
Yeah.
Not a good guitar player. Not a very good piano player. I'm a very average singer. I guess I'm not really the best songwriter. Like, dude, record's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's funny, you say it should have been us interviewing them, and obviously it wasn't. Although we did have our little moment at the end, because they were doing a little Q&A.
Certainly.
And we got to chime in a little bit and talk to Shooter about the fact that, he put together a great concept album, and so the obvious question is, do you own a copy of 2112? And I was really surprised to see obviously I knew he was going to be a fan of concept albums in general, but to see what a huge Rush fan he was, and to get under the hood and talk about, Passage to Bangkok and Twilight Zone. He was pulling out some gems off side 2 of 2112.
Impressive.
And really going for the conversation. So
what's funny is the way you posed the question was, being a fan of concept albums, the obvious question is, do you own a copy of 2112? And he was almost so excited to answer the question.
Yeah.
He made sure he mentioned, no, it's only one side that's the concept album.
Right.
Because the second side is not with Passage and with Twilight Zone.
Lessons and Tears is not part of the concept.
Right. He made it. Yeah, he was real clear about that. And I thought that was funny. You know what else I thought was funny is he went from, talk about switching gears, he could actually host this radio show.
Sure.
He did. He went from going on a tangent about Ministry's Filth Pig to Rush's 2112.
And
that's impressive.
And then followed that by sitting down at a grand piano and playing the Rainbow Connection from the Muppet movie.
How great was that?
Just mixed it all up. It was really good. The other thing,
entertaining dude.
The other thing I just wanted to mention real quick about the Evening with Shooter is, and I'm hoping it's on YouTube or something somewhere, but they had that little 5-minute EPK at the beginning of the evening, and wow, if you didn't know who he was, this little 5-minute thing was so succinct, and I just wanted to plug that, because go look for the Shooter Jennings EPK. It's just really puts it in perspective. You get an idea who this guy is and the lineage, and it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to hear somebody call up and let us know that they've listened to Black Ribbons just on a total whim and having no idea what they were getting into. I'm just curious to hear their thoughts on it, because I was obviously completely blown away by it, really into it. So anyway, that was a good time.
Yeah.
Good times. What else you got going on? Oh, wait. I think we got an email about Shooter. How about that? Shooter Jennings is on The Tonight Show tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna have to get home and watch that.
Yeah, his publicity team is definitely doing their job, because he's got The Tonight Show. The word is he's now confirmed. I don't know exactly when, but he's confirmed for Saturday Night Live.
Oh, good for him.
That's pretty large.
Huge.
And, of course, he's playing Coachella, which is going to expose him to a whole new audience. Because suddenly you're going to have the Muse and Faith No More and Porcupine Tree crowd checking out this industrial concept thing going on with Shooter Jennings. It's just going to be amazing.
The second part of your question to Shooter, which never got answered, was if he's going to play the record live. Yeah. And I have to tell you something funny. I didn't tell you this actually that night, but it's so funny when you asked that question, which was, you and I had sort of talked about that a little bit, but the second part of that question was exactly what I was thinking when you asked it. It's funny how we were so perfectly in tune on that, but he never answered the question. So I'm curious. He's not going to play it at Coachella.
No, not at Coachella. I have a feeling when he goes out and plays, his formal show with his band and does his tour, I have a feeling that's probably going to be sort of the format. I would imagine.
If he's a fan of concept records like he says he is, you don't have a choice, right? You have to play it.
Exactly.
I mean, well, I'm looking forward to those dates. If anyone knows Shooter Jennings' dates, let us know. What else have you been listening to?
Whoops.
What's wrong?
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I got my new computer up and running.
Oh, good.
And so I'm beginning the epic task of starting to burn, my rarities.
Yes, you're coming into the 21st century, my friend.
Ripping them to my computer. So obviously, I was listening to a lot of Marillion, because that's where this whole project begins.
Yes.
I got to back that stuff up, especially the bootlegs, the rarity,
the
non-traditional releases.
Right.
I need to back that stuff up for posterity. So that's sort of where I've been going. But having said that, I've been listening to a bit of the Sick Puppies, particularly the previous record. The new one is Tripolar, but I've which is really good. Yep. But I went back and I've been listening to Dressed Up as a Life, which I think is their second release, first full length, something like that.
Okay.
Really good, good. Been also on a big Faith No More kick again, getting psyched for Coachella, and let's talk about a little band that I discovered.
Okay.
Okay, let me preface it like this. Remember when The Darkness first came out?
Yes.
Okay. You kind of didn't know if it was for real. It kind of felt like, all right, they're pulling your leg. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's kind of Spinal Tap. Right. It's kind of silly. Right. All right, well, this year's Spinal Tap Award goes to a new band out of Los Angeles called White Wizard, with 2 Zs Okay, I don't know why. White
Who the
Wizard.
fuck is that?
White Wizard with 2 Z's, and they called their particular brand of metal screamo metal. And in a little bit, I'm going to play you a White Wizard song, which you're going to love, by the way, because you don't know if they're serious or not. These guys, keep in mind, this is in the year 2010.
Right.
And this record comes out. The record is called High Speed GTO. And these guys were so raised on Maiden. It's absurd. But in typical Spinal Tap tradition, I got to say that here's this band that are stuck in the past, playing, 30-year-old riffs, dressing like, it's the new wave of British heavy metal in 1981 or whatever. And this is the great little side note that gives it the whole Spinal Tap spin. Previous band members who have since been kicked out have hijacked their website.
What?
Yeah. So White Wizard.
How long have they been around?
I guess they've been around about 2-3 years in Los Angeles and really underground. And they did like an independent release.
A lot of drama for 2 or 3 years.
A lot of drama. And but yeah, guys that have been kicked out of the band who have nothing to do with White Wizard have hijacked the website, and I guess there's all kinds of like legal battles and entanglements over this band. That's just like
nobody knows about.
Like not even a footnote. So I just find that so comical because there's a little disclaimer when you pull up whitewizard.com.
How did you find it?
Our friend Josh actually said, you need to listen to this.
Okay.
So I listened to it and I was like, oh yeah. Right off the bat, I said, oh yeah, I'm opening the show with White Wizard next week. He said, well, before you open the show with it, you should probably explain. So that's why I'm explaining. So in a couple of minutes, I'm going to give you your first taste of White Wizard.
Okay.
With 2 Z's.
Okay. Maybe they could play with Big Elf.
It's funny you say that because there's
nothing funny about
there's
that.
A little, it'll remind you a little of Big Elf. If Big Elf were playing Maiden covers, it would sound like White Wizard. But you'll see how that goes.
If Big Elf was playing Maiden covers, it's like saying if Ricky Martin wasn't gay and he was playing, Jethro Tull, he would sound like fucking Dream Theater. Is that what you're saying?
That's it.
That made no sense. I'm completely fucking lost. Anyway. What were you... So is that it?
Yeah, so that's...
Dude, I'm impressed that you found Little White Wizard. That's good.
What have you been listening to?
Well, I last week we talked a little bit about the Sabbath Never Say Die record.
Yeah.
And we talked on air about it. We talked a little bit more about it off air. And
it's one of just a handful of records that never get any play, at least around my place.
No,
Technical Ecstasy being the other one,
because it's right at the tail end of the Ozzy era.
Right.
Sabbath, in which was they were all a mess by that time.
Right.
But I did a little research on it, and I listened to the whole record a few times over the week. And
quick question,
sure.
And this is probably, maybe you're going to mention this in your research. Was it on one of those 2 records, or was it on an earlier one that Rick Wakeman actually played keyboards?
I think that was on Technical Ecstasy.
Okay,
because it wasn't on this one. I'll tell you what happened. I only wrote a couple of notes down about it, but apparently the record came out in 78.
But how random, for Rick Wakeman,
of course.
Prague guy in a silver cape.
Well, it's going to get weirder for you in a minute.
to be with Ozzy and Tony.
The record came out in 78.
Right.
And I guess in 77, Ozzy quit Sabbath. This is obviously before the real end of the Ozzy era.
Right.
And so he quit the band. And so Tony and Geezer and Bill Ward, they got together.
Mr. Bill Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Bill Ward.
They got together and they got Dave Walker to come and join the band. Dave Walker was the singer of Savoy Brown.
Okay.
And sang with Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, okay.
So imagine that guy singing Sabbath, which is weird.
He was probably with Fleetwood Mac during like the Peter Green years.
During the Peter Green years,
gotcha.
correct. But still, it's just a random... That's just bizarre.
Yeah, totally.
So 2 completely different ends of the rock spectrum.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he joined the band. They wrote a bunch of songs, and they were getting ready to go in the studio. And then Ozzy changed his mind and decided he wanted to come back into Sabbath, but he wouldn't sing any of those songs. So they went in the studio with no songs and literally wrote and recorded at the same time, and ended up with Never Say Die. But Technical Ecstasy, which didn't do very well, which is really the beginning of the end of Sabbath, and the Never Say Die sort of was the nail in the coffin.
I saw the Never Say Die tour.
Yeah.
And talk about, that whole period just being a weird period.
Mm-hmm.
The most unlikely band that you could imagine. This was Sabbath at the peak of their, not creative peak, but the peak of their ticket sales.
Right.
I mean, they were at that point, they were Black Sabbath.
Right.
And so they were doing arena tours. This is late 70s. They were playing to their biggest audiences ever with Ozzy.
They had Gentle Giant opening for them. They're big.
I think that was actually earlier at the Hollywood Bowl.
God damn.
But no, they had, when I saw them, it was at the Long Beach Arena. It was Black Sabbath with the Ramones.
Strange.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Right. So the Ramones played 70 songs.
Yeah. Weird double bill. All right, just because we're on the topic, what's the weirdest double bill or weirdest mix of bands? Because another one just came to mind.
That I've ever seen?
Yeah. What's like? Did you ever just go, who put this lineup together? Who put this lineup together? Here's one that comes to mind for me. Is when I saw the, we used to get the calendar section, which was the Sunday LA Times,
right.
And it would have the full-page concert announcements. Mm-hmm. And sometime around 81 or 82, I think it was, they announced an all-day festival at Anaheim Stadium, and it was going to be Iron Maiden, the Scorpions, Foreigner, Huey Lewis and the News. Like, what?
My instant recall is not good. I can't think of something off the top of my head. I remember Prince getting booed when he opened for the Stones.
That's right.
I do remember that.
Somebody. Well, in retrospect, that was pretty cool, but at the time, I don't think.
But now that bill makes sense.
The Stones.
In fact, the edgy one in that double bill is Prince. Now,
yeah,
I mean, the Stones are so far from being edgy.
I saw that show too. It was actually 4 bands, and Prince was the opener. If you remember,
I do.
It was Stones headlined. It was Jay Giles band and George Thorogood. And Prince at the beginning of the day, and this is during like his Dirty Mind period. So he came out in like little black panties.
I remember. I remember.
I remember. It was.
I'm just trying to think of what is the strangest, like, bizarre.
I know we've seen
double
a bunch
bill that
of
I've
them.
seen. Yeah, there's a ton of them.
I remember one year, although it was a Lollapalooza, so you got to give it.
No, that doesn't.
You got to give it an exception. But it was Metallica and Soundgarden and Devo.
Right. Well, that was like Susie and the Banshees and 9 Inch Nails and Ice-T and Body Count and Rollins Band and Jane's Addiction.
Right.
I think I just nailed off almost all of the first Lollapalooza. Right. And then the second year was Ministry and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Really?
See, that kind of makes
with Ice Cube.
All right. All bets are off.
Let me tell you something, dude. That show, when I saw Ministry that night, I was so floored. It was so fucking loud at Irvine Meadows, an outdoor venue, so loud that when the Chili Peppers came on, I couldn't hear a thing. They were like, that was like seeing Black Sabbath and then the Monkees coming on after.
That'd be a great double bill.
Yeah, but that was what it was like. It was like Ministry was so completely out of control, and then came the Red Hot Chili Peppers with little fire coming out of their hats and stuff. I mean, it was really bizarre. Usually the Chili Peppers are the wacky ones. Wow. Ministry was just vicious.
Well, we're just going for it now.
Yeah.
What was the loudest show that you've ever seen?
The loudest show I've ever seen was probably Hurricane.
Wow.
At the Country Club in Reseda.
Nice.
It was so loud that my clothes shook and my clothes were shaking. And it's the only time ever, because I don't ever wear earplugs, and I know that's terrible, but I never wear earplugs.
Right.
I had to walk out into the lobby, and it was still so fucking loud in the lobby that I had to walk all the way, like almost outside when the doors were still open. I had to walk by the ticket booth. Seriously, that's how loud it was. It was blisteringly loud.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. The two that come to mind for me, and one of them was just within the last year or so, was when we went to see Ginger of the Wild Hearts over at the Viper Room. Mm-hmm. Not just a couple of weeks ago with Michael Monroe, but last year. It was so... I mean, I was rocking pretty hard, and the sweat was just pouring off of me. But we were down front, like front row. Even the band members had cotton balls stuffed in their ears, and I just felt like there was blood probably pouring out of my ears, although there wasn't. My ears were ringing like 2.5 days later. That was rough. But the other one I was going to say, hands down, got to be the loudest, was Perkins Palace, 1983, Quiet Riot, front row in front of Rudy Sarzo's Marshall stack.
Blistering.
It was vibrating my body to the point of where it felt like, when you put your hand out the window on the freeway and you feel the resistance.
I do.
Like I could literally lean forward and the sound was like keeping me up.
I felt like that with Hurricane. I know.
It was rough.
To the point where it becomes all it becomes is a big wall of noise.
Yeah.
There's no distinction between instruments.
Right.
There's no melody anymore. I remember I saw Racer X one year.
Nice.
Yeah, Racer X one year at the country club again, and I decided to go into the mosh pit. Right?
Right.
You know, I'm a short little white Jewish kid from the San Fernando Valley. I don't go in mosh pits, you know? So, but I decided that I was going to go, and remember, the closer to the pit we got, the louder it got.
Sure.
And then once I got in there, it was like, it just became like I couldn't see. It was so loud. And then I got some big fucking guy must have taken his thumbs and put them so far under my rib cage and launched me about 15 feet.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, and I landed with my wrist on the ground backwards, and I shattered my wrist.
Wow.
And that was it. And Chris Stone had to take me to the hospital, the emergency room. But it didn't stop us from going to the after party. We went right to the emergency room, right to the after party.
That's important.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
important. I don't normally do the mosh pit either, but I got one quick mosh pit story. Remember when they used to have the annual Rip magazine party?
Of course.
Hollywood Palladium,
Right.
which is where they had it a lot of years, and they always had a great lineup. Thank you, Lon Friend.
Thank you, Lon Friend.
And thanks for calling. And this one year, it was the year when Faith No More and Motorhead
Sure.
and Bang Tango and
that was the year that Ozzy came out.
Ozzy came out, and the
Was Jackal on that bill? Did Jackal
might have been Jackal,
and they and he did the chainsaw song. And
might have been Jackal.
Chainsawed Lon's couch.
And then the finale was GAC, which was a one-night only band with the members of Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and Skid Row all together on stage doing a jam. Well, about midway through the evening, I decided that the spirit of metal had just gotten into me, and I was just hyped up, and I just needed to go down front. And it was during Motorhead. And there's, at least up until that moment in time, I always believed there was sort of mosh pit etiquette, where if you were in the swirling maelstrom of bodies, well, no, I'm going to explain
mosh pit
this.
And etiquette in the same sentence.
I'm going to explain this. So you see this swirling maelstrom of bodies, swirling in a circle, like a big turntable in the middle of the floor. But then there were all those guys who were just on the perimeter of the circle. So these were the guys who, had their arms folded in front of their chest.
They're the barricade.
They're the barricade. They're protecting themselves, and they're the perimeter of the circle. You would think that they're safe, and that everybody going around in the middle of the circle, it's all free game because they're all banging into each other. Well, this 6 foot, 300 pound, skinhead dude during the middle of Ace of Spades comes making a beeline right through the mosh pit for me. And he headbutted me, and I saw stars for the next 45 minutes.
That's the worst.
I was like, "Oh, you kidding me?"
Yeah, you got to be. There
was no etiquette in that mosh pit.
When you're our size, like you and me,
right,
and you're going to stand on that border, which I don't mind doing from time to time. I really don't. It doesn't really bother me.
Right.
You just have to be. The problem is you can't completely pay attention to the band because you have to pay attention of who's coming towards you, so that you can push people back in the middle of the pit. And I mean. I don't mind doing that so much, unless it's a band I really want to see, in which case I have no interest. I'd rather watch the band.
Right.
But
yeah, I'm with you.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What else? Not big on mosh pits.
What else you been listening to?
The last thing I listened to was we were talking about Alberta. Talk about it. Totally shifting gears here. Sweet, huh?
Little John Wesley.
Hey. I miss John Wesley.
Yeah, well, you won't have to. He'll be in town with Porcupine Tree at Coachella just a couple weeks.
Maybe he'll come and visit us.
You should join me.
I wish he'd come visit us. Anyway, I listened to...
nice.
Great song. I listened to the new Alberta Cross record, which I played a little bit for you before we got on the air tonight, and I really enjoyed it. I like that this record is much more complex than I think the first EP that I listened to. There's a lot. It's definitely Neil Young-ish, but it's sort of like indie Band of Horses, Neil Young kind of vibe to it. So I really enjoyed it, and check it out.
The Force will be with you.
Yes, they're opening for Dave Matthews on a bunch of dates, so I would like to go see them there. That's it.
Nice.
That was really, although I tried to listen to the new MGMT record.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to listen to it online because, like Rachel was telling us a couple of weeks ago, I guess it's, you can download it illegally.
Well,
they decided to put it up
legally now because they've put it up for free.
But not. I guess not only you can't download it for free. Well, you can listen to it for free, which is what I tried to do. But because I got jacked in and put up on the BitTorrent sites, they decided to put it up for free. So I tried to listen to it. I kept getting sidetracked. So I can't even comment on it. Although I listened to like half of one song, and I really thought that Rachel's description of it was good. It was like a weird Beach Boys kind of modern record. It's very bizarre. Not the MGMT that we listen to.
Interesting, and obviously when we're talking about Beach Boys, we're not talking about fun, or, that kind of stuff. More the esoteric mid '60s, sort of Pet Sounds, Smile era Beach Boys.
No.
Oh, no. Okay. Because
a distinct surf sound.
Really?
To it.
Okay,
yeah.
That's interesting because I was just realizing
not quite Dick Dale.
I was realizing that a lot of bands recently have been making like Beach Boys references more than in the last 10 years or so, because I think it's becoming cool again to invoke a little bit of Brian Wilson. I know Shooter mentioned it the other night, but I think he was talking more about like Smile era, Pet Sounds era, Beach Boys, Brian Wilson stuff. But
what's funny, I think the younger that some of these these new younger bands are starting to reference some of these older bands more, like the Beach Boys or Brian Wilson, or they're really starting to get into like really what classic music is,
right?
And they're starting to talk a little bit more about that, which is about time. I mean, I listened to this other band too. I guess I should talk about it. This band called Ambrose, which doesn't have a record deal, but my sister's friend's, it's her boyfriend. And the guy's name is Zach Ambrose, so she gave me the CD. It's really good. I was really surprised how good it was. And but even stuff like that, I mean, it has such a distinct classic flavor to it.
Right. Not
like a classic flavor like a Guns N' Roses classic flavor, but a classic flavor, a 70s-ish kind of deal to it. It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
I'd rather hear that than, people talking about, I don't know, fucking Jay-Z or... I mean, seriously, what's Jay-Z's influence?
Yeah. Your mom.
Ice Cube? It's rough.
All right.
Anyway.
How about we take a little break? We've been getting a little nostalgic here. I think we're going to do that in the next break, too. So if you've got any stories about some of your favorite record store outings or hanging out at record stores or, the good old days, let us know about it. 310-840-4438 or drop us an email at usebinradio@usebin.com. As promised, here they are, White Wizard. I have a feeling you're going to love this.
I can't wait. I think.
Horizon, a mighty
Bin Radio. What are you listening to? And welcome back to Used Bin Radio, boys and girls.
That was cute.
That was fun.
I didn't mind that at all.
White Wizard, 2 Z's.
2 Z's.
Two
okay.
Z's.
ZZ
okay?
Top. All right, then.
That's it. Yeah, so
the only...
they're so rooted in Maiden, it's a little silly. But
yeah, but they can't write songs like Maiden, unfortunately.
well, they rewrote Phantom of the Opera, basically.
I don't know that. Yeah, I understand the riff is very Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
The song is just this. You really want to get into the minutia of that song. Whatever. It's good.
We're dissecting White Wizard.
We could dissect White Wizard. We could dissect White Wizard.
Somebody has
good.
to. Somebody has to. Yeah, so that's good fun. It's another one of those things where
I'd love to see him.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
But
would
it's
be
another
fun
one
to
of those
see.
things like The Darkness where I'm not totally convinced that they're not a little, tongue-in-cheek about what they're doing.
White Wizard?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I'm sure they're ready to rock,
I
but
don't think The Darkness was.
I think I think there's a little tongue-in-cheek there too.
I just want to bring up one other thing.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second. Okay, now I'll bring up what I wanted to say. I was just going to say, I saw today the Meatloaf single is out. So I watched the video of it, and I was so excited because Rob Cavallo, the guy that produced, the last few Green Day records,
Right.
produced this, and it's supposed to be a big rock record. Steve Vai played on some of it.
Nice.
Not good.
Not good.
Los Angeles is the name of the song, and
Yeah.
not a good tune at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, who's on the Used Bin? How are you?
Hey guys, it's Snowy White from
Whoa!
Hey, Snowy.
Welcome back, Snowy White.
How are you, partner?
Where you been all my life?
I know. Sorry, it's been a long time, but Tuesday night, it was just the last month or so. It's just been brutal for me with doing other things and all that. But I'm going to get caught up on all the shows on our encore content for the Pure Rock Radio podcast for sure.
Very
Nice.
good.
Nice.
Well, what's going on, man? What are you up to?
Well, I got to say, I love the topic tonight that you guys are just about to get into.
Yeah,
So I figured, you know what, man? I'm like you guys. I'm from the old school.
Absolutely.
I got to chime in on this. You know?
Yeah. So was there like a specific record store that was like your hangout, or just a bunch of them in your city or your neighborhood?
Yeah. In Winnipeg, we had one called Records on Wheels.
Nice.
It was mostly metal and punk and maybe a single shelf full of crap. But yeah, it was all for the heavier crowd,
Right.
It was mostly vinyl at the time.
Right. Love that. And so you probably knew the guys behind the counter because it wasn't like a big corporate chain. It was
We
like
did, yeah.
Yeah.
And we would run into them at shows and all that. Yeah, for sure.
right on.
For sure. One of the things that I dug most about vinyl and all that, because I assume you guys are going to be talking about that soon,
Yeah.
is the underground thrash and heavy metal vinyl. They would have all the cool liner notes
Right.
Right.
and all that. And one of the things for the underground was the band in their thanks would thank every other band that they ever shared a stage with or ever smoked a joint with or whatever. So that was one of the things that myself and a bunch of my buddies, when we were coming home from the record store, the first thing we would do is go straight to the thank you list to see how many of the other bands that they thanked that we were also into and how that we thought they were really cool and all that. I'm pushing 40 and I do that today with CDs. First thing I do is go straight to the liners to see the other bands that they thank.
That's funny. Old habits die hard.
For sure.
Is that how you found some of the bands that you listen to now?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Did you have this whole thing? This was one of my favorite things. But at the local record shops, I would walk in, and the way I would discover a lot of bands, besides word of mouth from friends or whatever, is a lot of times I would just walk into some of my favorite little mom and pop record shops, and they'd be playing something, and you would just strike up a conversation with the guy behind the counter, and he'd go, "Oh yeah, this is the new band, blah blah blah," and you would just get turned on to new music just by walking in.
That's how I first learned about Guar.
Nice.
Wow.
It was being played on a small TV behind the counter, and I'm looking at this for the first time, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Wow.
Right.
Classic.
How do you find your bands that you haven't heard of now? Is it internet only? Or?
Well, it's kind of tough because it was mostly through magazines.
Right.
Like, I've never missed an issue of Revolver, and all the way up until we lost Metal Maniacs, never missed an issue of that, or Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles. But those magazines are starting to disappear.
Sure. Right. Sure.
So it's getting harder and harder. Because I do radioactive metal, I get a lot of friend requests on MySpace, bands looking for airplay, and
right.
You know, there's still a few magazines.
Right.
Yeah, I'm still kind of old school in that way.
Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's not a ton of. All the good ones are going away, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, although I know a lot of those magazines that you mentioned are online, at least, or at least some version of it is online.
Yeah, but it's not the same. Like, I still make weekly trips to the newsstands. Like, I also love horror films and all that, so I buy horror film magazines as well. So I'm still making the trip to the newsstand.
Classic Rock magazine.
There's supposed to be some really wicked shit going on with that. Some tribute CD or something coming out.
Oh, I know. They have a label.
Okay.
That it's called Power Age or something to that effect, and it's in fact the record label that Pearl a Day is releasing her record on in the UK. But I think they are putting together a tribute record.
Yeah, the AC/DC.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. But Classic Rock Magazine and Classic Rock Presents Prague are, I mean, out of all the magazines, I think, since I was a little kid, going all the way back to Circus and Rip and all those magazines and Cream and all that, these are by far the best, most informative, the best looking magazines.
So thorough,
ever I've ever read. Yeah, they're all mini little Bibles.
I mean, I know you're not necessarily like the big Prague guy, but like I could tell you like where Geddy Lee was, you know, on the 4th of November of 1962. Well, this magazine gives me information that I've never even known about before, and I'm diehard. So
everyone was
amazing.
gathered on the 24th of May.
That's right. That's all I'm saying.
Every time you open up a magazine, you should learn something new.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see the Classic Rock magazine on the shelves all the time. Yeah. We get it up here.
Yeah. The only problem with it is it's so expensive because it's and it's always and it's so late because it comes from the UK.
And so is Terrorizer, and so is Metal Hammer. Those are
Right.
$12. Oh, I can buy.
And Kerrang! Is Kerrang still around?
Sure, it is.
Yeah.
Isn't Kerrang around?
I haven't seen it much lately.
Oh, Kerrang's got to be around.
I used to love that magazine.
But
That was great.
I think Kerrang now pretty much is.
Just online.
No, like what they do is those emo bands.
Oh,
Right, yeah.
It's all My Chemical Romance. And
Oh, right.
I gotcha.
yeah.
You don't like any of that stuff. That's for pussies.
It's good in small doses.
It's for pussies. Come on. These guys are all gay.
Small doses.
Hey, talking about record stores, I got a question for you. Did you ever have like that one like cha-ching find where you found something in the used section that was just like a priceless gem that the record store didn't know what it was worth, and you picked it up for a song?
Well, valuable to me, but I can't think of anything that probably you're talking about if I was to put it on eBay now.
Right, yeah, one of those things.
Maybe some picture discs.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you would find good stuff like that in the mom and pop shops.
Remember those?
Picture discs, sure.
Does anybody remember Laughter?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like one time I remember finding, God, this is probably like mid-90s. I remember finding a copy of the 1987 or 1988 Metallica Garage Days EP for $1.
Oh, my God.
Oh, nice.
Which now I think on eBay that probably goes for like $250 or something like that. But I'm hanging on to mine.
Oh, yeah.
Greedy bastard.
Absolutely. Yeah, I used to love that was the benefit of like dwelling in the used bin. If you were going to put in the time and put in the effort to dig through the dusty used bins, every once in a while you'd find some gem in there. Like you'd find like an old worn out copy of like GNR's Live Like a Suicide or something that.
Sure.
You know, and you'd be like, oh, cha-ching. Or the first Shark Island album or something.
Whoa. Easy.
Good stuff.
I'm getting a boner.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that time where I go to like a garage sale that some little old lady is selling all her kids' comic books.
Right.
First issue of Action Comics, dime.
What is
There's
it?
$1 million right there.
What was that all about?
Right.
That's just crazy. It's you remember the story? Wasn't there a story not too long ago about
Last week about Led Zeppelin?
I was going to say there's a Beatles story like that.
Oh, I don't know.
Where they found some Beatles masters mixed in with some other garbage at a record store. Just crazy.
Wow. Well, we were talking about this last week, Snowy, but a guy in, I forget what part of England, but a guy went to basically like a garage sale and found in a box, a white box, a reel-to-reel master tape of something. The box just said LZ, and he picked it up and checked it out, and it was an original soundboard recording of Zeppelin from '72.
Oh my God!
So that's probably going to get released sometime soon.
Wow.
But it's just nice to find those gems, and so that's one of the things you'll never get that, on Amazon. You'll never get that at a Tower or Virgin Megastore or anything like that.
No.
Those days are gone. That's sad.
They are, and it's sad.
Yeah.
Hey, Snowy, before you bail on us, what have you been listening to? Anything good?
Since we're talking about classic rock, the new Jimi Hendrix, the Valleys of Neptune.
What do you think?
It's interesting for sure. I'm enjoying it.
I love that period of Hendrix. It's like the jammy Hendrix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that Band of Gypsies era of Hendrix as opposed to the Experience era. But
right.
I think that record's really good. I was surprised.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing, and because of that, I picked up my very first issue of Rolling Stone in years.
Which cover issue?
Well, the latest one with Hendrix on it.
Oh, okay. Right on.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Is it weird that in 2010 Jimi Hendrix is on the cover of Rolling Stone? I think it's kind of cool.
It is. It's cool, but yeah, it's weird, but it's neat. Yeah.
Is it weirder that the issue before that was Shaun White, a fucking Olympic gold medalist snowboarder, was on the cover,
right?
And then they put Hendrix on the next one. Oy.
Maybe next week it'll be Jethro Tull, and then our heads will collectively explode.
I could see that.
Or maybe it'll be Rush.
Whoa,
let's not go nuts.
Take it easy.
Let's not go crazy. All right, Snowy.
All right.
Before I go, can I just say for all of your U-Spin listeners, when you go to check out the U-Spin podcast on Pure Rock Radio, go down a bit, and there's radioactive metal, guys.
Absolutely.
Hey, Snow, you know what? Just really quick, your show is now it's weekly, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, good. So you guys split. Sorry, I was reading an email. You guys went from bi-weekly to weekly.
Right.
That's what I meant to say.
Right on.
Yeah. There's no rerun the second week.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody go check that out because it's snowy. Damn it.
Horns up, Snowy. Horns up.
Yeah, for sure. Can't get enough snowy.
That's it.
Snowy White rocks my balls off.
I know.
All right, man. Have a good one.
For your time, guys.
All right, and thanks for calling.
Anytime. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Hey,
So-
I wanted to read something to you.
Yeah, what do you got?
Let me find it.
Pile drive.
Yeah.
Dude, you're
Crank
going
it.
deep cuts. Pile driver.
Listen to that riff.
That's chunky.
Really chunky. So I just read this today that an out-of-town developer is planning to demolish Tower Records, the building that was Tower Records on the Sunset Strip. Now, there's a group that is trying to preserve that building as a landmark, which obviously it's a landmark for us.
Well, they're a little late because Tower hasn't been there for 4 years now?
5 years. Can you
5
believe
years.
it's been 5 years?
I got to be honest with you before you even continue with the story.
Yeah.
I ran past that during the LA Marathon last week. I got a little emotional.
You have a tear in your eye.
I had just run 14 miles, so I was a little brain dead
So you
already.
had some things going on.
I had a lot going on in my head, but I ran past Tower, and I was like, wow, I miss that place. I miss hanging out there. I miss buying tunes there.
Such a drag, man. They want to build a 5-story office and retail plaza. So bad. And they want to start demolition January of 2011. But let's see. The proposed development has riled preservationists' desire to preserve Tower Records' worldwide cultural, historic, and social history that spans over 3 decades. The store was the epicenter for recording artists, record releases, and live performances. Before Tower Records, the location supported two two earlier notable eras. In the late 60s, inventor Earl Madman Muntz created his 4-track stereo cartridge music system for cars, which led to 8-track tapes and was Jack's on the Strip, a diner where stars socialized during the 40s and 50s. So there you go. So anyway, if you're interested in preserving that area, Tower Records, you can email Adrian Gallo at agallo, Gallo, at weho.org. Send them all sorts of fucking hate mail.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know, what they could do with it because Tower's not there anymore, but I don't know. How about put a record store in? Or I'm going to go nuts. Put a record store in. Or at least put a club there because it's right in the middle of the Sunset Strip, for God's sakes.
I'm telling you, I vote for a record store.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Now, speaking of record stores, so we're talking about record stores and shopping old school. What were some of your favorite record stores? Like around Southern California, anyway. What were some of your places to hang out?
Well, I loved Music Plus.
Music Plus was cool. It was a chain, but it still had a bit of cred.
I was a chain guy. I liked Music Plus, and I liked Licorice Pizza.
Licorice Pizza,
of course. I remember my brother taking me there, and I bought Led Zeppelin's Coda there.
Nice.
The cassette, of course.
The cassette.
Yes, I remember those. Remember those?
Oh, absolutely.
Does anybody remember cassettes?
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, so I bought Led Zeppelin's Coda there. And that was a great store, and that turned into Sam Goody eventually, which now is nothing. The Warehouse.
The Warehouse, which also I think merged with Sam Goody at some point in the later portion of its life.
Yeah, something like that. I remember specifically, though, Music Plus. For whatever reason, there was a Music Plus not far from my house. And I remember going there. Actually, I'll tell you another story.
Remember their slogan? Believe in us.
Believe in us.
Music Plus.
And the plus was VHS, was video.
And T-shirts. And posters.
Remember Licorice Pizza had a lot of T-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Licorice Pizza had a lot of those. I remember... I just remember hanging out in Music Plus all the time. That was where I hung out. But one summer, I'll tell you this quick story.
Sure.
One summer, I had summer school, and I didn't like school very much. I know that comes quite a shock. But I hated going to school, and I had to go to summer school. So my mom would drop me off, and I went into the class, and I had 2 classes, and I went to the first class once, the very first day.
Right.
And after that, I would go, my mom would drop me off, I would walk in the gates of the school, and then I would turn around and walk out as soon as she split. And I would go, and I spent 4 hours in the warehouse looking at music.
Yeah.
I swear, I was doing retarded things like alphabetizing.
I'm so there. I used to do that too.
In my later years when I actually had some money that I could actually buy stuff, because I couldn't really buy much, But
you just wanted to touch and play. Yeah.
I would go into Tower Records at when it was open till midnight. I'd go in at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I'd go in there for 2 hours. And by the time I was ready to leave, I had to have had 15 or 20 CDs. And then I would get them all in my hand, and I'd get overwhelmed, and I'd put them all back and leave.
Right.
I don't know what that was all about. It's almost like a little OCD.
It wasn't even necessarily the purchase. It was the process. It wasn't the pot of gold. It was the rainbow itself.
That's right. It's all about the pursuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. And you mentioned Music Plus, Licorice Pizza. Wasn't a big Warehouse fan because they always seemed a little more like they were a little more corporate for me. But for me, it was always the mom and pop shops. I mean, I remember we used to have a little place called Gem Records in Arcadia. And I've told this story to you before. Maybe some Huseman listeners have heard this before. But one year when I was probably 14 or 15, and I got in trouble and I got punished by mom and dad. This is back before I was really collecting a lot of records. I probably had 10 or 15 records or whatever. But I got in trouble, and my punishment was like the most diabolical punishment, where instead of just getting grounded, mom and dad marched me down to Gem Records, and I had to sell my vinyl collection back to the used bin. And with my $10 in my pocket and a sad $10
is $10.
$10 is $10, but a sad, mopey look on my face. I spent the next 20 years trying to recapture and rekindle that by not only buying back the 10 or 15 records I had, but I was buying with such a frenzy because it was like I was playing this constant game of catch up. And that's why I'm a used bin dweller for life.
Right.
But besides that, a couple of notables was Moby Disc.
Oh, sure.
Moby Disc was great because Moby Disc had those guys behind the counter. At every Moby Disc I ever went to, had those guys behind the counter who were straight out of High Infidelity. They were your buddies. They were little musical snobs.
That was always the problem I had with them.
Yeah,
They were always snobby.
There was a little musical snobbery going on. So if you walked up to the counter and you had your copy of, like Frampton Comes Alive or something, they'd look down their nose at you and be like,
you need the new Bad Religion record.
Yeah.
Right.
They were always making suggestions for stuff that was out of left field.
Sure you want this one?
Yeah, like I'd come up there with like moving pictures or something like that, and they'd be like, you need Sex Pistols right now.
Right, exactly.
So they were always trying to cleanse your musical palate.
Jethro Tull? How about the Circle Jerks?
Yeah, that's right.
That's funny. That store was all, at least the Moby Disc that I went to, was very punk rock based.
Well, the inventory was always classic rock, but the guys behind the counter were totally punk rock or totally avant-garde.
Or goth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you sure you want Rush?
Yeah, don't you really want
Smiths?
you want the Cocteau Twins, don't you?
Oh, that's right.
Don't you want the Depeche Mode to go with that new Sammy Hagar?
Really? Get rid of that Sammy Hagar right away. You need the Smiths.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
So, yeah, but Moby Disc was a good place to hang out because besides being a little bit of musical snobs behind the counter, the guys that were doing the buying of the used records, it always seemed to be they were less discriminating than a lot of the other places. And so they would take anything in, even if it was like bootlegs or imports. Non-traditional releases. And so I would find great stuff in there, stuff that you weren't going to find anywhere else. Another one like that, every time I used to go back and visit family in New York, I'd be in the city and down in the village. Did you ever go to Bleecker Bob's?
Back in the village?
Back in the village.
Yes.
Bleecker
Bob's many a time.
Was one of the all-time great record stores.
There was another good record store actually in the valley here, Blue Meanie.
I remember Blue Meanie.
You ever go to Blue Meanie?
Yeah, remember Blue Meanie.
Blue Meanie was good, but again, it was another one of those stores where you walked in there and it was covered with, the Sex Pistols and the Clash,
right,
and Iggy Pop, and it was sort of like if you bought anything other than that, you were really like you were definitely the outsider.
Right.
I'd already felt like an outsider enough. God, I'd walk into my sanctuary and feel like a jackass too. But that was I remember Blue Meanie. I always felt like a shitty dude. If I didn't have like my skateboard, and I had to like hold it up, just like almost like my passport. You know what I mean?
It's funny. You just when you mentioned skateboard, even though I wasn't necessarily a skater guy, you just brought back a whole other element, a whole other visual. I remember like going to like Moby Disc or some of these mom and pop shops, and they would actually have cubby holes at the front where you could leave your backpack and your skateboard and your school books, because that's what we would do.
Right.
We would do on the way home from school. We'd stop off at Moby Disc, get some tacos across the street. It was a whole social thing. It's like, see you after school at Moby's, and you drop your backpack. I'll meet you over in the Rush section.
Right.
And, I'd be sitting there like re-alphabetizing their Rush selection or seeing what was new in the Genesis selection, even though I owned them all. I just want to see, you know what?
It was about touching.
Chris from down the block must have brought in his import into the used section because he's the only one who had that in town. And so, yeah, it was a whole like social scene.
It's so funny you say that about you're right, because I owned every Rush album, but I had to touch it. And I wanted to alphabetize it because I wanted to touch it.
Sometimes
that was the whole deal.
Sometimes if it was priced really cheap, I would even buy it just to give it new a home because I felt like it was like the Orphan Rush album.
It's like this. It's like, could you ever imagine going into the record store and, you're just, like when we go to Amoeba today, right? We go to Amoeba and you're just going through the used section and, you get to the R's. Do you not always look for Rush?
Absolutely.
But you own every Rush album.
Right.
So you're not going to buy it.
And you're not going to find it's not
nothing new.
Yeah, it's not the point. They're not even a band that has like a ton of like bizarre imports and weird singles. They don't have any of that.
But you got to touch it.
You got to touch it.
You got to see it. You got to see that nice blue owl on the cover of Fly By Night.
Right.
You have to touch it.
Yeah.
I agree. You have to see if you can look up the chick's skirt on Permanent Wave.
You got to keep trying.
What color underwear does she have?
One of these days we'll be able to see.
Is she really wearing underpants?
Is she really going out with him?
That's not on that album. I guarantee you that.
But thanks for calling.
That's funny. That's what Brad said to Stacy.
How about that? I'll tell you one quick record store story that comes to mind, and then we'll probably go to a little break. Mid-90s. Oh, by the way, nice extreme version of Strutter.
This is groovy. You know, we always talk about songs that have that have swing.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example.
You know,
they took a rock song and they just gave it a groove.
They should have had Nuno and Gary and the Extreme guys on the cover of this record in suits with Kiss makeup on, and it could have been like Dressed to Funk or something like that.
It's my favorite Kiss album cover.
It's good stuff.
Dressed to Kill is the greatest Kiss album cover ever. Dude, black and white in suits with the makeup.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
It's fantastic.
Something very special and magical about the awesomeness of Destroyer. But I'm with you on Dressed to Kill.
Well, Destroyer is a comic book.
Yeah.
See, Dressed to Kill is like it's like a comic book, but real life because they're in suits. Something weird about it. It would be like a Superman wearing a suit but having his cape out.
Whoa.
It's a little weird.
It's a little wacky.
This is groovy.
It is very groovy. So I think it was like mid to late 90s. Buddy of mine over at Rhino Records gives me the inside scoop. And he said, you know, we're working on a 3-disc anthology of Yes. It's going to be coming out soon. And to promote it, they're going to be doing a handful of in-store performances, and they're going to be doing one at the Sherman Oaks Galleria Tower Records. So I was like, thanks for the tip.
When was this?
I want to say like 98, 99, maybe 2000, right around there. And he says to me, do you want me to put you on the guest list?
Whoa.
So I'm like, yes, I do. So I show up, and there is a line of like 1,000 people waiting to get into this little space that's going to fit 100 people. And these guys are all, 100 pounds overweight, wearing their Tales of Topographic Ocean tour shirts. That
sounds like a Dream Theater show to me.
Their beards have little crumbs in them. They're all holding their LA Weekly under one arm and a burrito in the other hand.
One word for you.
Yeah.
Progfest.
Yeah, Sausage Fest is more like it. So I figured, oh man, I'm not going to get in. And then my buddy from Rhino flags me down. He said, oh no, you don't have to wait in line. You're on the guest list. Nice. So he takes me inside, and Tower Records, which at the time was this is before Amoeba, I gotta say it was one of the most massive record stores that I had been in.
It was like a mall.
It was like a huge mall of records. And the entire place was empty because they had cleared it in preparation for this in-store performance. And Yes ended up doing like a little 45-minute tidy set that night. It was really cool to see them in such an intimate setting. But before they opened the doors and let the crowds in, me, my buddy, a handful of Tower Records staff people, and the band were the only ones in the room. So I spent the next hour of my life having one of the most memorable record shopping experiences ever as I went down the aisles with John Anderson and Rick Wakeman.
Oh, that's kooky.
And watched Rick Wakeman flipping through discs and going, oh, Bill Burford's first solo album. Nice. Nice. Oh, look at this. Genesis, Selling England by the Pound. Nice. And John Anderson's pulling out like Usu Endur and Tracy Chapman and the indigenous people and all.
He was floating.
He was floating. He was levitating. It was just one of the most surreal experiences, and just having that chat where suddenly all layers of hierarchy,
right,
as they always did in record stores, disappeared because everybody was equal in the record store.
Well, it's that when we have the conversation about music, I feel like that's the same thing. And even maybe not in a record store, but if you're talking to anybody about music, about bands they like, about records that they grew up with, there's a barrier, there's a wall that just naturally gets broken down, which is why I love talking about it so much.
Right.
But I can remember specifically you and I sitting at my and Leah actually sitting at my kitchen table with Francis Dunnery after he played in our living room, and just having this crazy conversation about music.
Yeah.
And at that point, it wasn't
about Return to Forever
Right.
and Genesis
Right.
and the Mahavishnu Orchestra.
but at that point, it wasn't like, wow, we're sitting in here having this conversation with Francis Dunnery. It was just geeking out about music. And he can geek out with the best of them.
Absolutely.
And it, like I said, it sort of like breaks down all the walls and all the barriers.
Like, no matter how intense he was talking about the recording of Black Ribbon's Shooter, when he was asked about Rush, boom,
Lit up.
Slid very comfortably into fan mode.
And I hate to say it, but and when he was talking about Ministry and like it was just crazy. And even Nine Inch Nails. I mean, I agree with you. It's for whatever reason, I don't know. Like I said, it sort of breaks down the wall.
Yeah.
Takes the barrier down, and then everybody is sort of on equal footing at that
Absolutely.
point.
I would imagine if you ran into Roger Waters, even he would tear down the wall and talk tunes with you.
We must never stop.
We must never stop. But thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling.
So
nice to see you.
So if you got any used record store stories or old mom and pop stories of hanging out and talking tunes with the people behind the counter, just give us a holler. 310-840-4438. I'm going to thank you in advance. Thanks for calling. Or drop us an email at usedbinradio@usedbin.com.
All right, we'll play a tune and then get Rachel on the line. I have an email here, but I have to read it from Darren. It's a great Rush story. I started to read it earlier, so I'll read it during the break, and then I'll give you the highlights when we come back.
Nice. How about a little Faith No More?
How about a little Faith No More?
On my head, I'm Debbie Gibson, and this has to be the silliest show I have ever heard.
All right. Welcome back to Used Bin Radio.
Dude, this is a great tune. Another, later on in his career, I look back on this record, Ozzy's Ultimate Sin record,
right?
And I love it.
Thank God for the bomb, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank fucking God for the bomb, because you're a secret loser.
For the bomb.
This is a great tune, though.
Totally.
This was like fat Ozzy, though. This was super fat Ozzy.
This is like the Elvis years.
Yeah. Oh, but he had a resurgence.
He was wearing gold lame. Come on, what happened when Ozzy's wearing gold lame?
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling. Yeah, but this is a great record.
Total.
I like this record a lot, and I like the song "The Ultimate Sin." All right, what do you got going on? Is it time? I guess so.
Extra, extra.
Hi, Rach.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Outstanding.
Good. Thanks for calling. What's going on with you? Thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Hey, it wouldn't be Tuesday night without a little Rachel.
Aw, thanks, guys.
So thanks for calling.
What's going on with you?
Not much. Enjoying Easter break with my son, and
Nice.
Very
enjoyed
good.
the fights this weekend.
Good fights this weekend.
Yeah. What fights? What's going
We're
on?
talking about the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
The UFC fight was really good.
Was this in New Jersey?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where
my buddy James flew to
That's
New
correct.
Jersey with his brother to go check it out.
that
Really?
George St. Pierre fight was great, wasn't it?
I cannot believe he didn't tap twice.
Twice. Well, he should have broke
The
his
guy-
arm
he
4
almost got his
times.
Arm broken off, and he didn't tap.
Yeah, he should have broke his arm 4 times.
Wow.
Seriously, no
Nice.
joke. I couldn't.
I
It's crazy.
never watched this stuff, so I'm totally in the dark. But I caught a couple of minutes at the gym about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and some dude came out looking totally gothic in a long black trench coat. He looked like Satan. He looked like he was from a Norwegian black metal band. Any idea who this guy
You
was?
sure it wasn't wrestling?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, sounds like the Undertaker.
Oh, okay.
God, that's shitty that I actually pulled that one out of my
Wow.
hands.
Okay. I was like, really? Is this what they're all into?
I just showed you
Okay,
my
so that's a whole-
my geek membership card.
That's a
was
whole
just
different genre then.
Totally different.
All
genre.
right. Never mind.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
talking about Sting from the WWF.
The Sting or the Undertaker? Which one?
One or the other.
One or
They
the
have
other.
I
that to make
gotcha.
that look.
I gotcha.
No, this is far different from that.
I gotcha.
Did you like that? Did you like that Frank Mir getting knocked out?
Can you believe that?
I was surprised.
Oh my gosh.
I was surprised. I like Frank Mir too, but that Shane Corwin's a strong dude.
And he held true to himself. He
Yeah.
did it in the first round. So
Yeah, this guy's never been out of the first round. He's knocked everybody out in the first round. It's pretty impressive. The guy's great. I can't wait to see him fight Brock Lesnar. It's going to be great.
that's going to be insane.
Good
I mean,
fight. Yeah, the problem
that guy
is,
is humongous.
yeah, that's the problem is once Lesnar gets a hold of you, it's sort of all over. But I don't know.
Whatever. Thanks for calling.
Anyway, all right. So what's going on in the news, Rach?
It's kind of all over the place this week. So, you guys were talking about the record stores, and I just heard you say, trying to save the landmark that is Tower Records on Sunset.
Right.
So I thought I'd start out with a little Sunset Boulevard news.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so on August 26th, it'll be an unofficial Flash Day on the
good.
Sunset
Thanks for
Strip in
calling.
West Hollywood.
Yep.
And this coincides with the 3rd annual Sunset Strip Music Festival, which will honor the guitarist for his contribution to music on the Strip.
Right. I remember they did the Sunset Strip Music Festival last year, and they honored Ozzy. And I remember we talked a little bit about that, and we scratched our heads and thought, why is the Sunset Strip Music Festival...
We ripped them apart for doing it.
Why are they honoring Ozzy, who even in the Sabbath days, I don't even think he played any of the Sunset Strip clubs.
But this makes a lot of sense.
But this makes a lot of sense.
Very
Slash,
good choice.
Absolutely. That's a good choice. Slash, not Axl.
Slash, not Axl. No, good choice, and I think that'll be a good show. And it sounds like that Sunset Strip Festival is actually catching on. This is year 3, I think, right?
Yeah. I still haven't been, but I saw some photos and talked to a bunch of friends that went last year. And, they block off the streets, and there's lots of stuff going on at the clubs.
I'd go, and I think that Slash will be great. And like I said, he's the perfect recipient for the to be the honoree. Yeah. Very appropriate, very pertinent.
By the way, he is doing a video for one of the tracks off of his new record.
With Andrew Stockdale.
That's right, from Wolf Mother. And the track is called By the Sword.
It's a great song.
Yeah? Haven't heard that yet.
I listened to it last week. I talked for a second about it last week. But it's funny. I remember saying this last week. I don't want to be redundant, but it's just weird that I didn't think that I would be able to tell a Slash record from your average other guitar player record, but it's a very distinct sound, and it shines through on all those songs.
Nice.
Yeah, very good.
Very nice. So are you going to go, Rachel, to see Slash at the Sunset Strip Music Festival?
Oh, I don't know. I can't say I'm in yet.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm interested in this record.
It's pretty amazing, I think, especially like with Steel Panther and the youth right now. Everybody seems to be, especially the youth, on an 80s kick.
Right.
So they're reviving the Strip again.
Right. I love that. There's something very special about the Sunset Strip.
It'll never be the way it was.
No, it'll never be the way it was. But, there's certain little hubs of music, whether it's the Village in New York or the Sunset Strip here or, Soho in London. These are just sections that are noteworthy for the music that they made.
The problem is, though, is like with the Strip, is like even in Seattle and what you're talking about, these little, areas where there was a time where it got hot and 10 or 20 bands were getting signed out of this specific area, and the Strip had 2 or 3 different incarnations of that.
Sure.
And
the 60s version doesn't get talked about enough, but enough. It's, it was the Doors and the Byrds and
Mamas and the Papas.
Mamas and Papas.
It's just that's not realistic in today's musical environment, because now those little nooks and crannies are on the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
Bands don't go to the Sunset Strip to go get record deals. They put their stuff up on MySpace or on these different websites, and that's how they get record deals.
That's a good point.
It's unfortunate, but I wish there was a revival of the Strip.
Yeah,
I'd like to strip on the Strip.
Nice. Look out!
Hey.
Thanks for calling. What else is going on in music news?
Well, should we just mention that GNR they're getting sued by Irving Azoff?
Yeah.
Oh, of course they are.
Of course they are.
Thanks, Axel.
Because Axel is like, what was that character's name in the Peanuts? Was it Schleprock? No, that wasn't the Peanuts. Who's the guy that had a pig pen? And he had the big swirling cloud of shit that followed him everywhere he went. That's Axl Rose.
Axl?
Of course.
Well, what I will say is that the karma scale of justice is certainly tilting in Slash's favor lately. There was that whole period where Axl, just before Chinese Democracy, there was like all this talk again. Oh, he's coming back. This is going to be big. This is going to be huge. It's Axl Rose. It's legendary. And then we heard the record and it was like, I wonder what Slash is up to right about now. Well, now he's getting honored at the Sunset Strip Music Festival, and he's got a record and he's got a video and he's being honored and talked about. And Axl has, got a $1.8 million lawsuit against him for profits that he made on recent tours to Asia, Canada, and South America, where Irving Azoff's people did not get paid.
This is all I have to say about this. And every time Axl comes up, it's usually not good. Although we did see video of him, greeting people at like a Taiwanese airport, and signing autographs and taking pictures, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, he was a champ there.
Yeah, it was absolutely. And I know this tour is going well, with the exception of, let's see, one night I saw that he got booed and yelled at because he didn't go on until midnight, and people were angry.
That's par for the course, though. People should know that by now.
But the problem was, when you're in a festival of 30,000 people, and the band before you goes on 2 hours before Guns N' Roses, what do you expect them to do? There's no seats.
Yeah,
There's festival seating.
That's a great point.
Horrible, right? And so there was that, and then there was a problem with the stage in Brazil, right? That blew down and hurt some people. This guy's just got a pile of shit that follows him everywhere he goes. And at some point, this guy has to take responsibility and realize that he's the asshole in all of this. He's the one link to all the bad shit that goes on. Anyway, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Truer words haven't been spoken.
Yeah, what you said.
Yeah.
He's an asshole. He is. He's an asshole. Axl Rose. He's an asshole.
How do you really feel? How do you really feel, Brad?
Anyway.
You know, you really are an asshole.
I'm an asshole, and I'm proud of it.
And thanks for calling. Since we're on the topic, I should just mention, you're talking about Axl playing festivals. He was just, they, Guns N' Roses, or whatever they're calling the Axl solo project.
The Axl Rose solo project.
They are going to be headlining...
Reading and Leeds?
Yeah. The Leeds, yeah.
Yeah, Reading Festival this year. Guns N' Roses, Queens of the Stone Age, and Biffy Clyro are headlining one of the nights. You got Blink-182, Paramore, and Weezer on the pop night. And the weird night is Arcade Fire, Libertines, and Dizzy Rascal. I'm not sure what that's all about.
It's the indie night.
Is that? Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So that means on GNR night, right after Queens of the Stone Age ends their set, you'll have a good 4.5 hours to go find a bathroom.
Let me ask you, I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
Both of you.
Sure.
Why do you think, in my opinion is well stated on the show, why is it that Axl finds himself in all of this trouble? Like, seriously, let's get psychological for a minute.
Well, I think it is psychological. I think the guy has just, in a way, he's got like a little bit of that Michael Jackson problem where he's so isolated and so disassociated from the real world. Mm-hmm. I think he lives in this little bubble. And I think that's the beginning of the problem. Whereas Slash, on the other hand, he couldn't be more of a real dude. I mean, he'll be standing next to you at the floor of the Troubadour,
right,
just watching some indie band. Whereas Axl, is in his penthouse suite, having his caviar and his tarot card reading.
But don't you
he's
think
just living on a whole nother plane of existence.
But don't you think he gets it? If you obviously he doesn't, but if you step back and look, how many managers has he been through? How long did it take him to get the record out? How many, it was a constant revolving door of musicians that played on the record, and he could never quite get a tour off the ground until recently. Right. And every time he does tour, something bad happens. It's like, every time he does an interview or he releases a statement, somehow, some way, he's misquoted. I mean, at what point do you go, dude, it's not him, Rach?
I don't know. I think he gets off on it. That's his thing. Yeah. And that's how it was in his youth. And I think he just doesn't know any other way. And he can play the blame game.
So maybe it's sort of like
he doesn't have to accept responsibility at this point.
So maybe it's like a Gallagher Brothers thing where he kind of loves the bad press of being a bad boy and being in trouble, and he doesn't know a better way.
You don't think he really believes that this isn't his fault? That he's the victim all the time?
Maybe he's into self-loathing. Maybe he likes it. Gets off on it.
Well, he's got the money to defend it.
Maybe he self-flagellates like in Da Vinci Code, Maybe he's just like, damn it, I'm Axl Rose. I'm Axl Rose.
That'd be hot.
There's a photo right there. That video is going to leak out on YouTube one of these days.
He looks horrible these days.
Yeah,
he's got to be pushing
ever since the cornrows. It's just been
his hair. Well, now it's out of the cornrows, but his face is so fat.
Yeah,
it looks terrible.
Yeah. What else is going on in music?
All right. Well, have you heard? There's a new movie coming out. Brace yourselves. It's called Suck. It's featuring Alice Cooper, Iggy Pop, Alex Lifeson, Henry Rollins, and many more cameos.
Many more. I thought you said Mandy Moore.
I
was going to say, that's your Aunt Carney Wilson. That's fantastic.
It's Moby, so,
so there's one chick in the group.
Yes, brace yourself, folks.
Explain the title. What is the gist of Suck?
It's basically, it's an unsigned band. They're like young kids, and they become vampires. You know, it's on that vampire kick.
Stop with your coven.
Exactly. And they become vampires and basically, you know, kind of sell their soul and then want to try and not become vampires any longer and, you know, get back to their roots, so to speak.
So they're not.
Why are all these people in the movie?
So they're
What's
not.
the purpose?
They're not a real band, right? This is like a mockumentary.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then, you know, all the musicians play musicians in the movie. Basically, I think Alice Cooper plays a bartender and whatnot, and is giving these kids advice.
Okay,
so
I get it.
they're little cameos. It sounds campy, but I saw a trailer. You can go on YouTube. I think it's called Suck the Movie trailer, and you can check it out for yourself. It looks really campy and like it could be bad, but there's that part in you that said maybe it could be kind of funny in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Who's in it again?
Alex Lifeson, Iggy Pop, Alice Cooper, Henry Rollins.
Well, if Alex is in it, it's got to be great.
And Mandy Moore.
And Mandy Moore.
Yeah, Moby.
Well, I thought they called the movie Suck because Moby was in it. You know what I mean?
Wow. Well, they did something kind of similar. Do you remember the movie FM?
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny because is this Steely Dan?
No.
Oh, never mind.
This is Chris Robinson.
Oh, I thought it was Steely
Could you
Dan.
imagine playing Steely Dan on this show? That's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough to find a song that you could play.
Yeah.
A Steely Dan song.
Pretzel logic, pal. So
it's just tough to find something that fits.
No, they did this movie FM, and it was a similar type of thing where they had all these rock stars of the day who were making these little cameos. I think like Meatloaf and I don't know, just a whole bunch of people made cameos in it.
All right. Well,
So they do that. They do that from time to time.
Good luck to you.
Good for the kids. Thanks for calling.
Sure. You got one more for us, Rach?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I thought that I don't really care for Linkin Park. I'll just have to say that out of the gate. But I thought this was an interesting concept.
Rach, you're muffled.
Am I muffled?
No, you're not.
Am I here?
There you are. There you go.
Linkin Park have completed making a new iPhone game app, and it's called Linkin Park 8-Bit Rebellion.
Okay.
And it basically has all the band members appear in the game as characters in the game, and it's like an action-adventure game, and once you complete the entire game, you can unlock one of their new singles, Blackbird.
That's cute.
And
That's clever.
In addition to that, they have different renditions of, you know, popular songs that, you know, you've heard on the radio time and time again.
That's clever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I wouldn't say I'm a Linkin Park fan, but I just want to throw that out there. You know, other bands, if you're listening, get the ideas. That could be fun.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Is that app free? Do you know?
I'm sorry?
Is it free? Do you have to pay for it?
You have to pay for the app, but you get to keep the song and for free.
Oh, that's great.
Which I guess you're paying for it, so.
Right, yeah.
But you got
good for them. That's
But you
great.
got to work to get to it. You got to work through the game. No,
That's even better.
That's a good idea. It's
great.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Even though it's Linkin Park.
Even though it's Linkin Park.
What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do?
Rach, you rock.
Hey, said it
Thanks,
once.
guys.
Said it once before, but I'm gonna say it again. Thanks for calling.
Can I just make one suggestion?
Sure.
For our record lovers out there,
Yes.
if you're in the Southern California area,
Yes.
drive yourself down to Penny Lane in Long Beach or drive yourself over to Dark Realm Records in Downey, and you won't be disappointed. I just want to throw it out there.
Why?
Well,
Why won't they be disappointed? Tell us about those record stores.
okay, Penny Lane, you have your choice of various artists. They have everything from new CDs, used CDs section. They have 8 tracks, 45
8
LPs.
tracks.
They
Yeah.
have everything there. Everything, and including, you know, if you want to get rare posters, rare, more pricey records, it's a great place to go. It's really fun going through their bins. They always have great stuff. You can actually find gems there, and probably several. Dark Realm Records, for all of you that are into heavy metal, rock and roll, dark black metal, that is your store.
Yeah.
You walk in, it is a dark realm, and you can find things that you aren't available anywhere except for there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love that.
Where's Penny Lane?
Penny Lane is it's in Long Beach on 2nd Street, and Dark Realm is in Downey off of Firestone.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, there's still a few good mom-and-pop record stores around. We'll probably talk about this more as it approaches, but April 17th, which is just around the corner, is national, actually not even national, it's global Record Store Day, which is becoming a national or an annual event. It's been going on for a little while now, and we'll probably talk about that more as it approaches. But there's a lot of great record stores still out there, and you got to get out there and support. And so we did this last year, but I'm going to say it again. April 15th is tax day here in the United States of America. So for our U.S. listeners, Used Radio listeners, when you get that April 15th tax refund, march yourself down to your local record store. Just buy something and then give us a call or drop us an email. Let us know what you bought. But just pick something up and support the cause, because those record stores, they need to battle with, all of the Amazons and the iTunes of the world. And it's a whole different experience. It's not just about the music that you're getting. It's a whole experience.
Go buy Armored Saints March of the Saint if you're going to march your way down there.
That's all I'm saying.
March of the motherfucking Saint.
That's all I'm saying.
March of the Pig, 9 Inch Nails.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling.
All right.
Hey, Rach, have a good week.
You too.
All right.
Thank you and good night now.
Good night. Bye.
So that's Record Store Day, and that is coming up soon.
Yes. Looking forward to that. Excuse me.
You all right over there?
No.
Okay.
But I love going to record stores. I like the whole idea of the posters and all that stuff. I think I'm going to go to Penny Lane. We used to have a Penny Lane up here.
They were sort of a chain, but they weren't like a big corporate chain. They always felt like...
There was a Penny Lane in Venice. When I lived in Venice, that's where it was. Yeah. That's the Penny Lane I was thinking of. And it was still... Yeah, they had all the posters and all that stuff. It was cool.
There was one in Old Town Pasadena, too, that was always really good. And I just...
Remember the tower in Westwood?
Oh, totally.
Fuck.
Yeah. A lot of celebrities used to be spotted in there because it was so close to Beverly Hills and Hollywood. And anytime people were in town, they somehow used to gravitate over there. Stories used to circulate all the time about how the store would be closed at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon for an hour, and there would be a limo out front, and everybody would be like, "Who's shopping?" And you look through the glass, and Michael Jackson is shopping for records in an empty store. One other record store that I just wanted to mention, because it was one of the more unique experiences that we had in Southern California, and sadly this is gone too. But in Pasadena, we used to have a place called Pooh Bah's. And the thing about Pooh Bah's records that was amazing...
I've never heard of that.
You never heard of Pooh Bah's?
No.
Probably, I want to say that it's formed in, or opened maybe early 70s, maybe even late 60s.
Okay.
And the thing that was unique about Pooh Bah's, and I don't know how they got the zoning or the licensing for this, but they opened up this great, really eclectic, dusty record store on a residential street in Pasadena. Mm-hmm. So it would be like house, Pooh Bah's, house, corner.
Right.
And so you would go into this house. You would walk up, past the front lawn. You walk up to the front door. You didn't have to knock or anything. You just opened the door, but it looked like a house and it had a little sign that said Pooh Bah's. And of course, it was all the windows were covered with like punk rock stickers or whatever. But you walked in and you were in the living room. And in the living room was rows and rows of vinyl and later CDs and 45s and magazines and couches where you could sit down and read the magazines.
Right.
And the checkout counter was there. But then, like in the back, you could go in what were probably at one point bedrooms or, the den or the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And you would go in these little rooms and like the kitchen was like the jazz room. And one of the bedrooms would be like a listening room. And it was just the most eclectic experience. And you could actually go out the back door onto the back patio,
right.
and there were a couple of chairs out there with some speakers, so they were always playing music, and that was the smoking area. So after you did your purchases and you made the rounds through the bins,
it's like sex.
People would go out back, and it was like a whole social scene, and you could just...
It's like sex.
It's like sex.
Once you make your purchase, once the cash register goes cha-ching, you can have your smoke.
You can have your smoke and eat it too. Yeah.
That's
wow.
funny.
All right.
Good deal.
I'm going to go to a little track, and then we'll come back and talk about the emails that are just pouring in to usebinradio@usebin.com. I'm going to play you something from the last Sick Puppies record. Actually, the previous Sick Puppies record. I thought this one was really cool. This is what?
I just turned that off by accident.
Oh, you're crazy. All right. This is called Cancer.
you don't enough to pray. I tried to make a change, to get a better way, to make a little more money. I tried to get away, to see if I could stay, and look what I became, honey. What is it I'm after? Searching for disaster, watching my own life flash in front of my eyes. We've been given answers, still we're walking cancers, dressed up as a life. Get all your news from a corporate company. Trading your opinion for a gallon of gasoline. I tried to get away, to see if I could stay, and look what I became, honey. What is it I'm after? Searching for disaster, watching my own life flash in front of my eyes. We've been given answers, still we're walking cancers, dressed up as alive, dressed up as alive, dressed up as alive. This life is a waste of life. This life is a fucking lie. What is it I'm after? Searching for disaster, watching my own life flash in front of my eyes. We've been given answers, still we're walking cancers, dressed up as alive, dressed up as alive, dressed up as alive, dressed up as.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard Cheese, and you're lounging against the machine on the greatest radio station in the world. Insert call letters here. Now go out and buy my fucking CD. Thank you. Good night.
Hey, who's your daddy?
You go, Daddy. And thanks for calling.
Did you know that you, Joe Mama, could get your piece of the internet with GoDaddy.com?
Really?
You can go to purerockradio.net/not
Axel
GoDaddy for coupon codes like 10% off all GoDaddy hosting plans.
Ooh.
$5 off any GoDaddy purchases of $30 or more.
Ooh.
Or $7.49 domain names.
So wait a minute. Let me think about this. For $7.49,
that's right.
I could go buy www.thanksforcalling.com.
That might be taken.
It might be.
But you could do a search for thanksforcallingmotherfucker.com.
Ah, that's not taken.
Right. Or every so often after I'm done having sex, I say thanksforcalling.com.
Nice.
Although that's awfully long.
It's a good domain.
Special.
Nice.
Hey, thanks to this new partnership, all purchases using our coupon codes will directly benefit shows, well, like the one you're listening to right now. That's right.
That's been radio.
That's purerockradio.net/not
duff
GoDaddy for complete list of coupon codes, or enter POD 167 to save 10% on all GoDaddy hosting packages today.
When?
Today.
Really?
Today.
Thanks for calling.
Today is the greatest day I've ever known. Fucking Billy Corgan, can't get him out of my mind.
I'm telling you.
Little bastard.
I'm telling you.
And there you have it. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
So, okay, how about if I play some real music now? This is good. Check this out.
Who's this?
This is a band called Sky Architect. And the name of the record is called Excavation of the Mind, and this is a new release on Prog Rock Records. The name of the song is called Russian Wisdom.
What's the band's name?
Sky Architect.
Wait, so you're telling me a band called Sky Architect is a prog band? I don't know if I could get my head around that.
Yeah.
I would have thought they were like country western with a name like Sky Architect.
Well, when there's no wizards and Merlin.
Hey,
and,
that's Wizard with two Z's and White Wizard. What did you think of White Wizard?
That was good.
It was funny, right?
Yeah, it was cute.
It was funny.
I'd probably listen to the whole record.
It wasn't bad.
I don't think I'd like the whole record.
No. You know, it's the joke wears pretty thin after a little while. But
Listen, the songs aren't great.
Right.
The riffs are good. But the songs aren't great.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. And we can really get into the minutia of, like, song construction and why I didn't like the way the song... I mean, you know... The chorus isn't great. We can get into all that shit. But, you know, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'd listen to it a few times.
Sure.
And I'd, like I said, check out the whole record.
Sure. And that Sick Puppies tune off the last...
Great.
That was called Cancer off of Dressed Up as a Life.
I'm a fan.
Good stuff.
I'm a fan.
I'm in.
Absolutely.
I'm in. Thanks for calling.
All right. There's a couple things I wanted to get to quickly. First thing, before I get to this email from Darren, because it's a mouthful and it's a great email. It's so pertinent to what we were talking about.
Is it Neil Pertinent?
It's Neil Pertinent.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's got an Alex Lifeson of its own.
Wow.
So
we'll be getting into that soon.
That's correct. I just wanted to go back. You know, South by Southwest was a couple weeks ago, the annual music festival down in Austin, Texas. And there was a surprise performance by Fat Mike from NoFX, who's the lead singer of NoFX. Although he was not dressed as Fat Mike, and there was not NoFX with him. He was dressed as his alter ego, Cookie the Clown. Now, I've never heard of this.
Nor have I.
So, is it Cookie or Cokie? Cokie.
Probably Cokie.
Probably Cokie, yeah.
He's doing a lot of blow.
Yeah, well, when you hear this whole story. So, I guess Cokie the Clown, and apparently he's dressed up like this before because fans of the band and of the genre know who Cokie the Clown is. Anyway, he went in and he, let's see, this is how it reads. He says... Okay, there's entertainment and there's stupidity. NoFX's Mike Burkett doesn't fit either. At this year's South by Southwest, Burkett, which is Fat Mike's surprise guest, was his moronic alter ego, Cokie the Clown, when he struck up a one-off performance at Emo's. Fans in attendance not only heard Burkett rattle on about suicide and his desire to kill his mother, but they also drank his urine. Yes, in what can only be summed up as fucking obscene, Burkett spiked a bottle of tequila with his own urine, which he drank throughout the show, eventually pouring out shots that he passed to nearby patrons. It was shortly after that Burkett delivered the hilarious punchline, which was a video of him peeing in the bottle before the show. What an entertainer. I confirm the urine was not classified as a biohazard waste and not subject to the legal ramifications of blood, semen, or feces, Fat Mike told TMZ.
Wow, this is like a G.G. Allen show.
Yeah.
That's...
G.G. Allen used to shit on the stage.
Yeah.
That was nasty.
Wow.
He was nuts. But yeah, that's
a little crazy.
Crazy.
Wow.
There's a video of it somewhere on TMZ, I think.
Yeah, it's called Thanks for Calling.
Yeah. Isn't that Cookie Story?
Cokie?
Cookie Story. I'm a fan of NoFX, and I think Fat Mike's a pretty smart dude, but I don't get that whole
Well, I think he pissed off a lot of fans. Oh!
Leave it to you to state the obvious.
You know, there was another celebrity guest appearance cameo, if you will, at South by Southwest.
Yeah.
Stone Temple Pilots played a set where apparently they ripped through a 17-track set list, including 4 new songs, which they debuted.
Right.
And during their set, they brought up Robbie Krieger of The Doors.
Right.
And performed Little Roadhouse Blues.
What's great...
And that's cute.
Yeah, what's gotten great about South by Southwest... South by Southwest used to be for unsigned bands to showcase.
Right.
So a bunch of the people from the industry would all fly down there. Every different aspects of the business all come to Austin, and they'd, you know what I mean, go see, umpteen bands in 3 days. Now, it's become such just a festival that half of the bands that are playing there now are signed bands. So it's almost defeated its purpose for the unsigned bands. So it's a drag for them. However, if you go down there and you look through the program on any given night, you're going to get Stone Temple Pilots and Robbie Krieger.
Right.
Or you're going to get Cokie the Clown.
Yeah. Or Big Star.
Yeah. Or a number of bands. I mean, Metallica played last year.
Did they really?
Yeah.
They played
Emos.
South by Southwest?
Yeah.
Wow.
And So, I mean, and that happens all the time now.
I hope some A&R scouts saw them, because those guys might have a future in this business.
They're going to be okay.
They're going to be okay?
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
Let me get to this email here, which is a great email.
Hook me up.
And
now, this came from
Darren.
Okay.
From Canada, from Canada.
Canada.
And he says that this is a pertinent story to the show's topic tonight, and it comes from the Canadian Financial Post. And it's entitled Vinyl Treasures. In 1974, a local rock band called Rush played our high school cafeteria. And after the concert was over, I bought a copy of the group's debut album from the singer, a genial hawk-nosed fellow named Geddy Lee. He smiled, pointed to the pile of records, and spoke, but since my eardrums were still ringing from the 120 decibel music, I had no idea what he was saying. But now I know. He was saying, buy all the records in this pile and don't open any of them because they'll all be worth a fortune in 35 years. The pile of LPs Mr. Lee was selling next to the stage were some of the 3,500 pressings of Rush's first album produced by Moon Records. A sealed version of the album sold for $831 on eBay in November, according to popsike.com, and that's popsike.com.
Now, this is the original pressing on Moon Records. So
right.
just to preface that, this isn't just because it's the first album; it's the first pressing of the first album. Right.
There were 3,500 of them, and that's what it was. So he said, PopPsych is a site that contains that tracks record prices. With LP records, the first recordings by artists who later went on to superstardom are the most valuable. But even obscure musicians who couldn't fill a church basement have their followers, says Matt Oman, who runs Honest Reds Records. My phone is split, which I'm reading this from. It's got like a shattered face, so I'm having a hard time reading this. Okay. Who runs Honest Reds Records, an online record store on eBay. Says every artist has a fan somewhere, no matter how uncool or obscure. This is a lesson that has never failed to amaze me. And he goes on to list a ton of like really wacky little deals here. He says, along with the usual Pink Floyd, Beatles, Michael Jackson, Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, and other major stars, LP by bands so obscure that they don't even have a Wikipedia entry attract attention for collectors, for example. And then he goes on to list just a litany of some wacky stuff. So I guess the moral of the story, don't throw away your old LPs.
Yeah, don't throw away your old LPs, or your 45, or your comic books, or your baseball cards.
Right.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
It doesn't have to be, like you said, it doesn't have to be, the Beatles or even
Michael
Rush.
Jackson
It amazes me as a record collector and somebody who really appreciates, vinyl and rarities, especially now that I'm starting to rip all my music onto CD. I'm going through, or onto my computer, I'm going through some of the old stuff, particularly some of my vinyl, and going, God, this is so rare. It's never been released on CD or whatever. And I wasn't joking before, like the original, the first thing released by Shark Island, before they were actually even Shark Island.
Sharks.
No, before School Bus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before School Bus, they actually had a vinyl album when they were just the Sharks. And this is the one with LA Rocks on it. So it predates School Bus.
Really?
Yeah, from 78.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's nobody remembers this band, but the few people who know about that vinyl goes for ridiculous amounts of money. Even the band I played earlier, Sick Puppies, who are a relatively new band, their debut EP, which I think was called Dog Problems, the Dog Problem, or something like that.
That was the one you just played.
No. This was a rare EP that's been going for hundreds of bucks on eBay.
Right.
Just weird stuff like that.
It's funny, I'm not the biggest collector of certainly not
rarities.
I love rarities.
Yeah.
I mean, I love them. Don't get me wrong. I like anything by any bands that I like, I'll listen to.
I like rarities because sometimes you just want to deviate from the norm. Nice segue, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
Anyway,
you're distracted.
It's so hard not to get distracted. I'm not like a vinyl collector or anything like that, but I'll listen. Like I like anything from the bands that I like, so I'll listen to all the rarities and stuff like that. But going on in eBay and searching for, the original pressings, the Moon Records pressing of the first Rush album, would I like to have it? Sure. I mean, I wouldn't go search it out though. It's not my deal.
It's even more rare than the Moon Records debut of the 3500 pressings. If you could get your hands on a copy of Rush's original 45 single, which predates even their association with Moon Records,
right?
Which was, and these songs never even turned up on later records. It was "You Can't Fight It" and a cover of "Not Fade Away," which I want to say is like around 73-ish.
But see, that's the thing is
Rutsy years, pal. Rutsy years.
I own those songs now.
Yeah.
And I don't need that 45.
Yeah, but it's just,
I guess that's the point I'm trying to make.
It's a badge of honor, though, to pull it out and say, "Look what I got." It's like I have the single, the Motley Crue single of "Toast of the Town," "Stick to Your Guns."
Right, but but to me, you know what that means? That just means you just looked really hard.
Well, no, that one I actually had from the club days.
No, I'm talking about
the Rush one. You have to track down.
Yeah, I mean, but that, am I thoroughly impressed by it? Not really, because collectors look find stuff like that.
Yeah,
I just want to hear it.
Yeah,
burn it to a disc. I'll put it in my hard drive, and I'm good to go.
Okay,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it takes a little of the.
I am the digital man.
Takes a little of the joy out of being the analog kid.
No, see, and I'm wholeheartedly on the other side of that fence now.
Yeah,
you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a certain joy in being able to...
Oh, the convenience factor, I can already see is going to be fantastic. But that doesn't mean I'm still not going to, from time to time, like I do now, even in the CD age, of put on some vinyl and hear the snaps and the crackles and the pops.
Sure.
And, pull out the vinyl sleeve and look at the liner notes and the artwork. And I still enjoy that from time to time.
That's for the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
If you want to really hear it, for the audiophile factor...
Yeah.
You need the digital version.
Yeah,
that's just the way that is.
No argument there.
Speaking of that, of things sounding better.
Yeah.
Did you see in Rolling Stone, and I maybe it's in this month's Rolling Stone, which I haven't seen yet, but I did see it online, that David Frick does a whole thing about Steve Wilson's remasters of the King Crimson records.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, it is bizarre to see David Frick quoting Steven Wilson.
He's obviously a big prog fan, David Frick, because not only has he been championing everything Steve Wilson's been doing, because I've seen... I never thought in my lifetime that I would see, let's call it what it is. It's underground prog. That's just starting to become, there's an awareness of it now because of Rolling Stone. But opening Rolling Stone like last year and seeing a review of the Steve Wilson Insurgents solo record, or seeing references to Porcupine Tree or Blackfield, or the fact that he's remastered the King Crimson stuff, just bizarre to me. So it's great. It's great.
I think again, it's a product of a younger generation that is, has their roots in classic music.
Right. Yeah. Have you heard any of that, by the way? I haven't
yet, but I have to tell you that the review, the David Frick review, was not good, not great, but spectacular. Yeah. It makes, I would say, if you're not a King Crimson fan, it makes you want to listen to these versions of King Crimson.
Absolutely right. Absolutely
fantastic.
Right. And
then he portrayed him perfectly.
I have the Steve Wilson remix, which apparently Robert Fripp was stunned when he heard of their debut in the Court of the Crimson King. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, this is one of those quintessential prog records, like Selling England by the Pound, or Close to the Edge, Dark Side of the Moon. Even it's one of those things that if you're a fan of the genre, you've probably been listening to this record for 30-something years.
It's the pillars in which prog music was built.
Yeah, but
sure.
I put on the Steve Wilson remix and heard this record like I was hearing it for the first time, even though I knew the songs. There was a richness and a fullness to the production and the arrangements. I was hearing stuff that I'd never heard before. It was like going from black and white to 3D.
Yeah.
In vibrant 3D color from black and white still.
How old do you think Steve Wilson is? What's our guess here?
I'm guessing mid-30s.
I'd say so.
Mid-30s.
Right, and I'd say Portnoy's probably
just about
early
40.
40s.
Yeah, probably just
late
about
30s, early 40s. I would say 40s.
Yeah.
41, 42 maybe, 39, 41, 42. That's what I mean by that's what I mean by it's the new generation that has their roots in classic prog.
Right.
And all of a sudden, how it just blows my mind that Rush is cool.
Right.
I mean,
who knows? Maybe David Frick will jump on the Rush bandwagon, and
Rolling Stone will have to cover it because the documentary's coming out. I mean, it's going to be. There's such a huge push.
Would your head explode if you saw a Rush cover story?
Oh, without
what is that?
doubt.
What does that even look like? It could happen. It could happen.
Could you imagine Rush on the cover of Rolling Stone? I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. It doesn't. Something like that doesn't enter my vernacular. Yeah. How's that?
All right.
I mean, although I have to tell you, like I said, I think that they're going to be so prominent and so talked about, and they're going to be so visual in the next, obviously, 18 months or so.
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
Definitely.
It's funny. This documentary thing is there's the documentary thing and the autobiography thing.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
It's going to be a big. The next 18 months is going to be big for Rush fans.
Not just Rush. I guess I'm talking about the trend.
Yeah.
You remember for a long time the trend of playing full records,
right,
live.
Right.
Now all of a sudden we're now all of a sudden everybody's writing books.
Right.
Or they're doing documentaries.
Well, you got the Bobby Blotzer thing coming out, which should be an interesting read.
Right.
There
was another one, too.
And Ozzy and Dio. And, yeah, there's a lot of them in the works.
There was another one, too, I just read about. I was like, wow, there's just so much. All of a sudden, it's...
Richard Black from Shark Island?
I'd read that book. All right.
All right.
Hey, thank you guys for listening tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap this thing up and get out of here for the week, but we'll be back next week. So don't fret.
Don't fret.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel.
That's right.
Our pals from Pure Rock Radio live in Las Vegas are going to be coming up next, so stick around for that because they are good fun.
Right.
And if you missed any part of the show tonight, be sure to check out the podcast. You can go to purerockradio.net. And when you see the little part on the website that says podcast, I'm going to suggest you click on that.
And even next to any of those shows, if you're listening to them, you can always leave some comments.
That's right.
So feel free to fill out the survey. Leave some comments about what you like, what you don't like, and what your mother's wearing.
And thanks for calling.
Hey, thanks, Pure Rock Radio, Rich at Pure Rock Radio. And
Thanks,
Sean
Rich.
Gordon at progrock.com. And speaking of Sean Gordon, by the way, next week, I've got a bunch of new stuff that he's released on Prog Rock Records.
Oh, so it's going to be a
bunch of stuff to talk about.
Week? Okay.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff to talk about.
All right.
Terry Edwards and Max Krasny and Westwood One.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Chris Stone and Rob Wilson for what really, really, really soon is going to be usebandradio.com.
Nice.
All right.
So that's good. I want to thank you for calling.
And I want to thank you for doing the show naked.
and hey, it was nice to see you.
And as always, Joe Mama, seeing you, it's fucking nice. Just nice. Goddamn nice. Really. Really nice. Nice to see you. Seeing you, so nice.
Radio.
It's all nice.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
You're listening to a live internet broadcast on Pure Rock Radio.
At PureRockRadio.com.